Hello everyone, this is Marathon Films here with another movie review on one of my favorites, Jurassic Park. Now, Jurassic Park was released on June 11th, 1993 and was directed by Steven Spielberg. Now, it was about the film. It was based off the 1990 novel by Michael Crichton, who wrote the novel for 2 years, and Spielberg and Universal Studios purchased the rights to the novel for $2 billion. I'm not sure. I think in like later in like 91 or 92, and it stars Sam Neill, who has done many New Zealand films, and it stars Laura Dern, who has done October Sky, The Mask, and as well later on after this film, she did a part in Jurassic Park 3, and she has done many other dramatic films as well. And it also stars Jeff Goldblum, who's done Cats and Dogs, The Fly, and the sequel, The Lost World. And Richard Attenborough, who again has done the sequel, and has also done Miracle on 34th Street as Santa Claus, and has also directed a couple films, including the 80s film Gandhi. So a few things to note about Jurassic Park. The story starts off with these workers who capture a velociraptor and then later get attacked. One worker dies, gets attacked by one, and then we go to a paleontologist dig site where we meet Dr. Grant, who's played by Sam Neill, and Dr. Sattler, played by Laura Dern. And what happens at the time is John Hammond who is portrayed by Richard Attenborough, owns an island off the coast of Costa Rica, and excuse the music, and owns an island off the coast of Costa Rica and turns it into a dinosaur theme park. And he invites Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler to go along with a mathematician, chaos theorist, portrayed by Jeff Goldblum, known as Dr. Ian Malcolm. And they invite them to the island and show them, the first dinosaurs they encounter, a brachiosaur, and then another one. He tells them, they quote unquote say, "How'd you do this?" And then they'll say, "I'll show you." And they show them how they got the dinosaurs back alive from extinction. And they did that by the process of DNA, filling in the codes with frog DNA. Don't know why, I guess. And then later they encounter a baby raptor and then velociraptor in its pen. And then they go on the Jurassic Park tour in these explorers. And while on the tour, they encounter a sick triceratops. And then later a storm hits the island, and it starts wreaking havoc, and considered the villain in the film, known as Dennis Nedry, portrayed by Wayne Knight, turns off the fences, which means the T-Rex breaks loose, wreaks havoc on the explorers, the tour guide, the visitors, and everyone gets separated. Whereas, we got one team, the game warden, Robert Muldoon, played by Pop Beck, Dr. Sattler, and, John Hammond, trying to find Grant and the kids. And later, the kids are played by Arena Richards and Joseph Mazzola, Tim and Lex. And they go across Jurassic Park trying to get back to the visitor center, all through the Jurassic Park. And they encounter Brachiosaurus, they encounter a Gallimimus herd, and the T-Rex again. Then they later stumble upon an electric fence that's off, but then Dr. Sattler and that team decide to turn on all the fences, which then later releases the raptors. The raptors escape their pen and wreak havoc, and they kill a park employee in the process. And so then they turn on the lights, turn on the power, and then Dr. Sattler reunites with Dr. Grant while the kids are in the visitor center dining area, having food and whatever, and then a velociraptor comes in and chases them throughout the kitchen. And then later on, they find Dr. Grant and Sattler while they try to capture the raptors and try to turn on the computers. They try to escape the raptors, and then a T-Rex comes and saves the day and attacks both the raptors. And the surviving characters get on a helicopter and head back to the mainland, and the film ends there. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry. Some notes about this film. It won 3 Academy Awards, including Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Visual Effects, because this was the first film to use CGI or computer-generated imagery to make actual 3D dinosaurs come to life with real live-action actors, which has never been done before this film. And the dinosaurs were like made by sculptures and mold and art and stuff like that, and then by Stan Winston Studios, who was known for ILM and Industrial Light and Magic, which then they later, scanned the molds, the sculptures, and they turned them into live-action computer-generated dinosaurs. So, that's the reason, that's the CGI part, and why Spielberg made this was, he said ever since he was young, he always loved dinosaurs, like me too, and probably other little kids. And he always dreamt of making a dinosaur movie. And that dream came true. When, the novel was published and he got the rights, he was able to make the film like he dreamt. So, more about Spielberg. Before this film, he's done Jaws, he's done E.T., he's done the Indiana Jones series. And so he's just got a lot of films under his belt. And he was able to make this film. And then after this, he made the sequel. He made AR, Artificial Intelligence, Saving Private Ryan, and along during post-production on Jurassic Park, made Schindler's List. And he also was an executive producer on Jurassic Park 3, Jurassic World, and the next coming movie, Jurassic World 2, Fallen Kingdom. So, some interesting trivia to know how they did the ripple effect of the water in the glass in the car. They used it by attaching a guitar string from under the dashboard and bolted it to the bottom of the floor, and every time they plucked it, water would ripple. So that was pretty neat, interesting to note. And the two main dinosaur roars, the T-Rex roar was a mainly combination of alligators, elephants, tigers, whales, and dogs. And the dog, because as the T-Rex, she attacks a Gallimimus. Yeah, all the dinosaurs are females. She shakes the Gallimimus like a toy rope, almost like a dog would. So that's kind of where the emphasis on the dog comes in. And the Velociraptors were more of a combination of like a walrus, having a I think from the documentary, a chest problem, and they recorded that. And then they also got a dolphin screaming, which is another scary voice too, and they combine those to a terrifying creature, the Velociraptor. Filming took place in Kauai, Hawaii, which is one of the small islands in Hawaii. It's Hawaii. And they did the outside shots, exteriors of Jurassic Park, like the Welcome to Jurassic Park gate, the outside of the visitor center, and the raptor pen, and all that fun stuff in Kauai. But during that time, a storm hit the island, a hurricane, which then prevented a delay in shooting, and that was influential in the film as well. When a storm comes, the fences are shut off. That was the inspiration for the film, was that hurricane. So, and then later on, they did interiors of the buildings, of each of the buildings at Universal Studios on the back lot, and they also did the T-Rex main road attack on a Warner Brothers Stage 16, the biggest soundstage in Hollywood, I believe. Don't quote me on that. And they also shot the T-Rex Jeep chase scene in Warner Brothers outside in one of the dirt roads that they have there. And I remember that because I was on the studio tour at Warner Brothers about almost a year, not quite. I was on a studio tour. And there were many slight changes from the novel to the film. Because the children, it was in the novel, was the older brother, younger sister, whereas in the film it's older sister, younger brother. And many of the key characters in the novel were not in the film because there was like one or two they had to take out, and some of those characteristics of those characters in the novel went to some of the characters in the film. And another big influential thing to note was that Dr. Malcolm dies in the novel, but not in the film. And he later survives in the sequel novel, Lost World by Michael Crichton. And another thing to note is one key scene that was in the novel that never made it in the film was there was a river raft scene of Dr. Grant and the kids on the river raft trying to escape the T-Rex, and then they encounter pteranodons as well in the Avery. But that later was that inspiration was not in the film, but later was inspired to make the Jurassic Park River Adventure ride that we all know of at Universal Studios, Hollywood, Orlando, Japan, Singapore, and there's probably another one, I'm not sure. And that was the inspiration for the ride. And also things to note too, as I'm talking about Universal Studios, during the time, Universal Studios Hollywood, I mentioned Hollywood, opened up Universal City Walk, which was a big spot for entertainment for most of the theme parks. And the Orlando one came later, but note to mention the Hollywood one came during '93. And then while this film, during the opening weekend of this film, it made #1 during the first weekend, and it made $47,026,828, which was a lot for an opening weekend. It beat the record of Spielberg's previous film, E.T., that was holding that record for #1 opening weekend. But then later, Jurassic Park held that record until '97 when James Cameron Titanic came out in theaters. That Jurassic Park held the record for 4 years. And then worldwide, when the film was screening later on after opening weekend, it made $1,029,153,882, and it made the way for sequels, toys, comics, merchandising, marketing campaigns, shirts, other apparel, video games, computer games, toys, comics, books, etc. So it was a big, big deal for this film when it came out. It was huge. And so then, some things to note from my class I took at where I'm taking film school at Bowling Green State University was I took an intro to film class about a year ago, my freshman year. And we had a textbook called Intro to Film Analysis by John Lewis, and there was like 4 different areas that talk about Jurassic Park. The first thing I'm going to mention is the kitchen scene. Now, storyboards were used for many of the scenes in the Jurassic Park film, but the kitchen scene was the one that stuck out the most because it made way for, how they wanted to set the camera, how they want the lighting, this and that, and that was used as a term we used called mise-en-scène, and mise-en-scène means that the director the director envisions what he pictures of a scene, and sees like what the meaning behind it is. If it's dark and we get the kids running this way and the dinosaurs coming that way, it'll give us a feel like this is real life, this is actually happening in some other kitchen or in real life, instead of being fake and everything. Like, it's got to be real life stuff is what mise-en-scène means, trying to make it meaningful and more realistic and real than fake. So there were also various camera work in that scene as well. Like, you get high angle shots, high angle blocking shots, pan shots of the kitchen scene, just to get, and there was blocking too, once the Velociraptor was like roaring coming in the kitchen, you pan to Lex and Tim's reaction to the raptors screaming and screeching, and blocking, the kids trying to escape the raptors and trying to get through there and everything. And it's a very, very terrifying scene. I mean, I've seen it so many times, but it is terrifying from another point of view. And yeah, it's just camera work and mise-en-scène in that was very, very great. And then another thing is Foley artists. Now, Foley artists are people that, you know, make sound effects through actual material. Like, for example, you know, if I took an egg, you know, I crack it open, and you know, I can make that seem like, you know, cracking open a shell, a rock, I don't know. And an example of that was the baby raptor scene, where as the baby raptor was hatching out of the egg and, you know, trying to, you know, say I'm free or something like that. The cracking of the egg was actually ice cream cones, and the velociraptor's, you know, smooth skin, you know, the characters trying to touch and feel the dinosaur, they used a jello or gelatin-like substance for that, and that was an example of Foley artist that was mentioned in my textbook. And the next thing we're going to talk about is sound. And like I said, this one Academy Award for sound. Sound was so amazing in that film, especially when the T-Rex breakout. Like, we get silence for a little bit as it's raining, it's storming. You know, the actors and the kids are in the cars. You know, bored out of their mind. And then, you know, you don't hear anything, but, you know, you feel something like Tim is like, what's going on? Like, this doesn't feel right. And so that was the vibration then gets, you know, softer, and then a little bit louder, a little bit louder, a little bit louder, thump, thump, you hear the vibration. And as that happens, you see Tim's reaction, like scared, like he goes from the back of the car and you see him come into the camera. And then we get a point of view shot of him looking, and see what he's looking at is the glass of water rippling, which ensues us like, oh my god, where's the T-Rex? Something big's going to happen. Oh my god. It's like heart pounding. Like it keeps you off your seat, like wondering like what the hell's going to happen? Where's that T-Rex? When's he coming? Oh god, I'm so scared. You know, things like that for sound was very big. And then, you know, it's the vibration, you know, splits. We get nothing but silence, you know, everything stops. And then you get the goat leg come out of nowhere on top of the car. And that just terrifies us even more. That scares a lot of people. And so then you see the T-Rex, you know, his two fingers on the fence, the wire, and then you see it eat the goat, and then you see it you know, coming closer and closer. You know, you see the fence breaking, you see the wires coming apart, you're like, oh my gosh, like he's coming, he's breaking the fence, oh my gosh. And then the sound then is just of the T-Rex coming through the fence onto the main road, which that is a big example of sound throughout that film. That is like one of the key scenes that this textbook I have mentions. That scene is just great with sound. I mean, it's terrifying. It scares you. It's heart stop. Your heart sinks every time you hear it. So that was my review and a couple end notes to end there. Jurassic Park has been very influential in my life. It has influenced me to love dinosaurs. It's influenced me in my career as a filmmaker. It's just the CGI, the movie making, the camera work, everything, and inspired me to love Spielberg for all his work he's done. So it's just a big influence in my life of becoming a filmmaker and a cinematographer. So yeah, it's just you got to see this film regardless. This film is worth seeing once, at least once in your lifetime. It is a magnificent film. So that is my review on Jurassic Park. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, tell me what you think about Jurassic Park and the sequels as well. And again, leave a comment. And again, this is Marathon Films. Please subscribe to my channel.